Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to another edition of Football Theory. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by my good friend and esteemed colleague, Jeff Howe. Today, we're going to talk about one of the more exciting portal additions for the Longhorns. And Jeff and I both agree, I don't think there's been enough talk about the potential impact of Rasheem Biles, the linebacker Texas is getting from Pitt. So we'll talk about it, break it down, his skill set, and also how it translates to this new system Texas is going to be in with Will Muschamp. We'll get into all that. Before we do, let's just give a shout out really quickly to Laura Baker. We appreciate Laura Baker, the accomplished Austin realtor, sponsoring Football Theory. We'll give you more of a breakdown about how she can help you in all of your real estate needs coming up later on in the show. But first, let's talk about Rasheem Biles. And I mean, the numbers are wild for this young man. He's got to have one of the more impressive stat sheets that I think I've ever seen for a linebacker. Let's just get into where he ranks in terms of Pro Football Focus among all other linebackers. They did put out their 100, or at least I think they are in the process of putting out their best 100 players of 2025. They have him as the 6th highest graded overall linebacker. Pro Football Focus did in 2025. His defensive grade overall, I went back and look at his defensive grades as a pass rusher, just among linebackers, 8th in the Power 4 overall. You go look at his run defense grade among linebackers, top 10, 10th in the Power 4 overall. You go look at stops. That's just basically a win for the defense, considered a negative play or basically an L for the offense in any regard, their definition of it. He was 6th among linebackers in the Power 4. Passer rating when targeted, 63 passer rating when targeted, which is 18th among all linebackers. That's really impressive, guys. Yeah. And you go look at it, he actually moved around a little bit, but tackles for loss, he actually led the country in tackles for loss per game, 1.70. Also, if you look at tackles per game, he was 2nd among Power 4 linebackers in tackles per game, 4.5 sacks, 17 tackles for loss, 18 pressures, 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery, return for touchdowns, 2 interceptions, both returned for touchdowns. He's got, in this dude's career in college, just throw it out, he's got 4 return touchdowns, 3 pick sixes. Dude, yeah. I had 3 pick sixes in my entire career at Texas. Dude's got 3 pick sixes in his career so far, and another year to go. But he's got a fumble return for a touchdown too. I mean, like I said, we got more stats I can throw out there to you, but there ain't no doubt, whichever way you look at it, Jeff, this young man is an absolute stud at linebacker.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things to take into consideration. One, he was a high school defensive back, so there's that. So he's got the range and the ball skills and all that stuff that could translate. That's the, we could go down that rabbit hole if you want, Rod. That's that old Mike Tomlin quote: "Look like what you hunt." That kind of that's how Jerry Patterson built his linebacker philosophy. Like, hey, if you're going to spread it out and have smaller personnel, your 260-pound C gap to C gap thumper. That guy's a dinosaur. He's extinct, and you got to have smaller, faster, more agile linebackers on the field. And 2. Man, you can say what you want. He's kind of out of sight, out of mind for a lot of college football fans. Pat Narduzzi at Pitt, but one thing Pat Narduzzi can do, he knows how to evaluate defensive personnel. Yeah, he can field really good defenses, and for Rasheem Biles to be kind of the linchpin in his defense, a really good Pitt defense, that'll tell you something. We get into the nuances, but you say, okay, he's in the ACC. Like, how impressive is it? Well, you go look at just according to PFF grades, like his best games, some of his best games. And you're right, he missed a couple games with injury this past season. But you start looking, Rod, basically 4 of his 5 best games where he graded out. And again, PFF considers anything at a 70 above average. So his lowest grade here among these 5 best games was a 72.7. And so that's above average to good. That was against Miami. His highest graded game was against East Carolina in the bowl game. It was a really good East Carolina team. An 84.9 against Louisville. 79.3 against Notre Dame. Did have a 77.7 against Central Michigan. But anybody that watched college football this year, East Carolina, Notre Dame, Miami, some really good teams. You got a Notre Dame team that could have been in the playoff. Miami team that was a national finalist. And again, South Carolina was East Carolina, was a pretty good team in the American. But this is really what got me down this road, Rod. I was thinking, man, like that PFF grade, 84.4. And the PFF era, it only goes back to 2014. as far as like really getting intricate with the numbers to where we have him now. I want to read you these grades for Rasheem Biles this year. 84.4 overall defender, 89.3 against the run, 84 tackling, 82.9 pass rush, 76.2 coverage, 51 stops. That's a tackle that constitutes a failure for the offense, a solo tackle that results in a failure for the offense. 18 pressures, and 63.4 NFL passer rating when targeted. He was targeted 24 times, allowed 20 catches, 181 yards, no touchdowns, as you said, Rod, 2 picks. Now I want to read you these numbers. A 78.5 overall. By the way, the 84.4, no Texas linebacker has had that high of a grade for a season in the PFF era. I want to read you these numbers, though. A 78.5 overall defensive grade, 72.1 against the run, 89.8 tackling, 71.8 pass rush, 83.4 in coverage, a 66.3 NFL passer rating when targeted 41 times, 29 catches, 252 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, and a PBU. Only 5 missed tackles on the year, 47 stops, 16 pressures. Those numbers I just read you, that second set of numbers, that was Jordan Hicks in 2014. So that's the only season, Rod, by a Texas linebacker in the PFF era in terms of how they grade it that I could compare to what Rasheem Biles did in 2025. And Biles, for the most part, with the exception of the tackling grade, he did have 10 missed tackles. Missed tackles, though, for a linebacker is kind of like drops for a receiver. Like basically the more opportunities you get, probably the more you're going to have. So it can be a little deceiving. But other than the tackling and a slight edge to Hicks in coverage, Rasheem Biles in 2025 had a better, more productive season, according to Pro Football Focus, than any Texas linebacker has had in the PFF era. So that's Jordan Hicks in 2014, Malik Jefferson in 2017, Jalen Ford in his All-American year in 22, any DeMarvion Overshown season, any Anthony Hill season. Wow. That puts in perspective the kind of guy Texas is getting in Rasheem Biles.
Yeah, no, it's that's a great breakdown of it. And, you know, just to talk about how rare his skill set is, because he's got fantastic eyes. And what I love are his instincts. It really, the intangibles jump off the screen to you, and they're hard to define. He's got great numbers to help you try to quantify it, but you really can't appreciate how good he is until you watch him, his visual processing. So I think he's really good with his eyes and his instincts as a player. Getting back to what you said, even in high school, he played wide receiver, DB, he played all running back, played all over, but he's an athlete that essentially has evolved into being a high-level linebacker. Here's a stat that I love about him. Only 2 players who have at least 60 plus tackles, at least 2 sacks, at least 2 interceptions, and at least 2 defensive touchdowns. Only 2 players in the country, and Rasheem Biles is one of them. Have been able to accomplish that. He's such a wide-ranging defender of all the ways he can help you. He's just toolsy. And you don't use that term talking about a linebacker. Toolsy is usually reserved for quarterbacks and wide receivers, but he really is. And like I said, it'd be different if it was, maybe it was an outlier of a year. His second year was just as good. His sophomore year was just as good as his junior year. Like it was really good, or at least that second year for him, he was 82 tackles, 14.5 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, and also he had interception return for a touchdown. Yeah, he's got a knack for returning picks to touch. But when he gets the ball in his hands, whether it be a fumble recovery like it did in the bowl game, took it for a touchdown, or it's a pick, he had 2. How about this? He only played 5 games his senior year in high school, and he had 2 pick sixes. He's got a knack for the pick six, man, and returning it to the house. So that's what I'm saying. It's all about instincts for me when I watch Rasheem Biles. He's great, and like I said, you can quantify it, and you gave a lot of the numbers how, but there hasn't been a linebacker at Texas that has had the instincts of Rasheem Biles in quite a long time.
Yeah,
they're really good.
Probably Jordan Hicks. Like Anthony Hill was getting there, and he was almost there. And I hope Anthony Hill still has his best football ahead of him in the National Football League. But probably Jordan Hicks was the last guy I saw. And really, like, man, if you look at Jordan Hicks's football career, it's really one of the more remarkable careers we've seen for a lifetime Longhorn, because a couple pretty significant injuries at Texas, with the groin issue in 2012, and then the Achilles injury in 13. Even in the NFL, Rod, he's had pectoral injuries and everything. Played double-digit years in the league, always among the leading tacklers in the NFL, just all over the place. Was part of that Eagles team with the Philly special team that beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. A lot of teams kept signing him. Actually, he was with the Browns and was going to camp. It's not like they were going to cut him, but he just kind of decided when he got to camp, like, hey, I'm kind of done, not feeling it. It's really rare, Rod, when a guy leaves when the league still wants them. Usually you're done when the league tells you you're done. Jordan Hicks kind of got to go out on his own terms, so that's rare for a career. But yeah, like you said, really instinctive. And I got asked in a live stream this week, hey, how would you compare him to Gary Johnson? And I kind of see how people might want to make that comparison.
He's got better ball skills.
Yeah, like
ball hawk.
But that's the thing. Like, Gary Johnson was a track guy, more of a straight line guy, but just like paired perfectly with Malik Jefferson on that 2017 defense, because Malik kind of got to roam and play in space and do what he did. Because Gary Johnson, even at 190 pounds, was like a physical C gap to C gap thumper. Like, he would come downhill and he would smash you in the run game, like the perfect off-ball linebacker for what the Big 12 was at the time. But when you talk about Rasheem Biles, and I'm not saying he's going to have one of these careers, but you look at the guys that thrive at linebacker in the NFL. You look at a guy like a Levante David or a Fred Warner, like one of those type guys where they're really instinctive. They're true 3-down players. And Rod, we talked about the difficulties linebackers have in coverage. Rasheem Biles is a 3-down linebacker. And that's something that's not easy to find. Like, I think that's why Anthony Hill's going to have value when it comes to the draft, because everybody's, this guy's a 3-down linebacker. Like, and he can rush the passer too. Like, you can play him in a number of different ways. So Rasheem Biles doesn't have like the length or the size, kind of the measurables that Anthony Hill does. But in terms of a player, the potential impact, he could be every bit as impactful for Will Muschamp's 2026 defense as Anthony Hill was for PK's defense in 25.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think because ultimately he is undersized, right? If there's any knock on him, you want to throw out a knock on, he's a little over 6'1", 215, between 215, maybe 220 is kind of where it's. So that's undersized. But like you pointed out, the NFL now has become more of a pace and space league. And as long as you have a physical mindset and a physical playing style, it'll still translate. I think Levante David is probably the highest player comp for a guy with his size and his frame, because there was also an undersized linebacker. But there are a lot of guys in the league that, Terrell Bernard kind of reminds me of that. I remember him from the Big 12.
Texas kid from LaPorte, yeah.
Yeah, Jamian Sherwood's another guy. I think he was from Auburn. Even Jerry talked about him. But Zach Bond, I remember Deion Jones, Quan Alexander. There's a bunch of these guys now in the league. So I don't necessarily think it'll be as much of a knock as it used to be that he's undersized. Something I also like that he and basically Tyson Smith are very close to being the same physical size and frame.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a really good thing that, because Tyson Smith has a lot of playmaker in him. I always classify my back seven defenders into 3 categories. You're either a disruptor, you're a ball hawk, or you're a technician. And Rasheem Biles is almost a ball hawking disruptor. Like he takes up a couple of those categories as well. And I think Tyson Smith has that kind of ability. We saw that in the bowl game. By the way, both of these guys had 2 of the best bowl games for any defender all season long. Mm-hmm. Like Tyson Smith's bowl game against Michigan was awesome. Couple of picks. The bowl game that Rasheem Biles had was at East Carolina. They played, I believe it was. He became the first player with at least 15 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and a touchdown in the game. He had a fumble recovery for a touchdown in the game. Dude went off. Like, he just had one of the greatest games we've seen from any defender in like a decade and a half. He and Tyson Smith are very similar in their size and frame. Like, go look. I think both of them are listed like 6'1", 215, 216. I hope that Tyson Smith can learn a little bit more about being impactful and impacting the game with his frame from Rasheem Biles. I think that actually is another added bonus you're going to get with Tyson, because like I said, they're very similar in their frames, and they're not. I think Rasheem Biles is more of an impact player, but Tyson Smith can learn with a guy with that frame some tricks of the trade.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, Anthony Smith still needs to take the step. He is very capable of being a 3-down linebacker. Rasheem Biles is already there.
Yes.
And that's key. By the way, I just want to mention, since I'm talking so much about Jordan Hicks on this episode, Rod, of Football Theory, Jordan Hicks was a Will Muschamp recruit. And one thing that I really like about and again, this is a credit to Pat Narduzzi and how they weaponize Rasheem Biles, because he's so good in coverage. Like, you want him to do a little bit of everything. They let him rush the passer in 10 games, 118 pass rushing opportunities. By comparison, Anthony Hill in 10 games, 86. So Rasheem Biles is getting to rush the passer about 11 to 12 times a game. For Anthony Hill, it's about between 8 and 9. I know that might not sound like a lot, but a guy that's that disruptive, 2 extra pass rush opportunities in a game, that could be the difference between getting off the field on third down, forcing a turnover, creating field position. Like, as many opportunities as you can give a guy that's this disruptive to be disruptive, the better off you're going to be. So I can't wait to see what Will Muschamp does with Rasheem.
No, you can make the argument you're replacing maybe one of the best off-ball, if not the best off-ball pass rusher in college football, and Anthony Hill, with another guy that can also be in that discussion in Rasheem Biles. He's awesome as an off-ball pass rusher. I'll give you some of the numbers from Pitt here in a second. But just getting Anthony Hill, I don't say waste, but what a missed opportunity. Considering how good he is, his pressure rate. I'll give you his pressure rates for the 3 years he was here at Texas. 19%, 30%, and 18%. Those were his pressure. He's a 22% pressure rate in his career. And he never got triple digit pass rush snaps. Not 1 year. Never. 99 was as close as he got, and that was the first year, which basically he was playing he was almost in a boutique role his first year. Remember, they used him as a spy.
Like a situational pass rusher, yeah.
Yes. And it's like, why didn't they try to recreate that more? I think it's one of the things that upsets Sark. He's like, I cannot believe that guy didn't have double-digit sacks by the time he left here. Oh, he should have been used more. Anyway, I digress. But
it's not Tom Herman, Bijan Robinson levels of egregious, but it's kind of around the corner from getting into the neighborhood. So
it really is. Yeah, Bijan, I don't know if there's any coach that missed more of an opportunity to hit it big with a player than Tom Herman did with Bijan. And it seems so obvious to everybody watching, like, hey, he's better than everybody else. What are you doing? What are we waiting on here? Anyway,
lo and behold, we look up and he's maybe the most effective offensive weapon in football now.
Tom Herman, what were you waiting on, dude? Anyway, getting back to it. About Rasheem Biles, here's how he was used at Pitt a little bit. I'll give you some of the Pitt defensive tendencies. They were pretty, I don't say vanilla, but they were not a very diverse scheme. I mean, and when you got really good linebacker play, the Texans are like this, right? No disguise. We don't need a lot of disguise. We don't need a lot of movement up front. We don't care if you know what we're going to do. We do it so damn well.
Narduzzi's been match quarters for forever. Like, his scheme, he's going to do what he does. You try to get through it.
Yeah, so basically they play cover three and cover 4 are 69-70% of their coverages. Their second highest rate of zone in college football, so he's really good at playing zone. They didn't play a lot of man, but their blitz rates, they were 25th in blitz rate, Pittsburgh was, 4th in run blitz rates. So they had a lot of run blitzes, which explains him and him being so aggressive and getting those tackles for loss on early downs. So that's something I think Texas can utilize as well. I think Will Muschamp will blitz or run blitz a little bit more than PK did. If you look at the stunt percentage for Pittsburgh, they were 19th in twists and stunts up front. Oftentimes they would use the second level linebackers for that. Their box blitz rate, 12th in the country. Makes sense, right? When you got linebackers like that. So they use their linebackers a lot, and they would use them in their twists and stunts in their games up front. That's something Texas can definitely do with Rasheem Biles. They also led the nation in 6-man pressure rate, sending 6 guys.
Yeah.
Which means Rasheem Biles is usually a part of that 6. So Texas should use that opportunity. Should use this opportunity to put that guy into the pass rush pressure packages as much as you can. Also, one other thing to look at with him as a player, they did, like I said, the run blitzes I thought were something that Texas didn't do enough of. With a guy like Rasheem Biles, you can really capitalize on how aggressive he is. And they didn't sim pressure a lot. I think their sim pressure rate was like 100 I think they were like 130th or something like that in the country. So not a lot of sim pressures with them. They just kind of, and I think for the sim pressure thing, either you're sending a guy like Rasheem Biles or you're dropping him back into coverage. I think either way, he can be an asset for you. But that just not something they did a lot of. And I don't know if Will Muschamp's going to do a lot of sim pressure either with a look at what Georgia did. I think Georgia's sim pressure rate was like middle of the road, somewhere around there. So there's some ways I think that you can take some of the tendencies of Pittsburgh and apply them. I think the blitz rate, high box blitz rate, and high 6-man pressure rates with a guy like Rasheem Biles. By the way, Texas pressure 6-man pressure rate was actually 23%, so it wasn't that low. It was actually higher. It wasn't as high as Pittsburgh. They were at 60%, but it was relatively high. It was higher than Georgia's. So throwing it out there.
Yeah, and I think there's some where you can kind of see some of the overlap to get an idea of how Will Muschamp will use Rasheem Biles. You know, the three defensive minds that had similar schemes are kind of cousins of each other. Because you might say, hey, OTF fan might be saying, Jeff, Rod, I don't watch a ton of ACC football. I'm not that familiar with Pat Narduzzi's defense. Like, what's a good comp? Well, there's a lot of similarities between Gary Patterson's defense and Pat Narduzzi's defense. And there are some similarities. Now, Will Muschamp does a little different, but you look at traditionally how Nick Saban has schematically run defense and called defense. There's a lot of similarities too, especially from a coverage standpoint with what Pat Narduzzi does. But really kind of the closest thing you'll find is what Gary Patterson did. And Rod, how many games, how many times did Gary Patterson beat Texas? How many games has he won? How many times has he beat an opponent that you're like, man, how did they stop that offense? How many times did he do it with like undersized linebackers that were rangy and disruptive and kind of the heart of his defense? Spoiler alert, he did it a lot.
Yeah, good stuff there. All right, great stuff. Let's thank our sponsor, Laura Baker, one more time before we end things. Thank you to accomplished Austin realtor Laura Baker. Laura and the Andy Allen team at Keller Williams can handle all of your real estate needs in the Austin area. Laura is not only a diehard Longhorn fan, but a longtime Austin real estate expert. So please give her a shout today if you have any concerns or questions regarding real estate in the Austin area. 512-784-0505. That's 512-784-0505. Or you can reach out at Laura at AndyAllenTeam.com. That's Laura at AndyAllenTeam.com. Thank you very much to Laura Baker and her team for being a part of our team here at On Texas Football. Also, I'd be remiss if I did not mention that when this dude didn't play as a true freshman and just played sparingly and was just trying to obviously earn his stripes, he blocked 3 punts.
That's
just instincts, dude's instincts. Like, he's just a instinctual football player. We're from being an athlete, running back, wide receiver, DB, and end up being a linebacker at the college level, recruited as an athlete. First year, not playing much, not figuring out, learning how to play linebacker. Dude blocks 3 kicks, right, hustling on special teams.
Think about all the great Longhorn defenders we've seen over the years, Rod, yourself included, that were really good special teams players that ended up being really good positional players that ended up playing in the NFL.
True.
Yourself in there, Jordan Hicks, Keenan Robinson was a
Mike Griffin there.
Brian was a good special teamer early in his career. So yeah, that will take a lot. As we close, I'll give you my favorite Rasheem Biles stat from his 2025 season. In that bowl game against East Carolina, 64 snaps, 41 snaps as a run defender, 16 tackles, according to PFF, 0 missed tackles. 15 of those 16 tackles were stops. Again, a stop is a solo tackle that results in a failure for the offense. So every time he's around the football, he didn't miss, and he made it count because the offense was off schedule after he made a tackle. So if that's not impacting a football game, I don't know what is.
No, you guys got to go watch that game. Go find it on YouTube. He went ham. Like Jeff said, he had a PBU, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, an interception. Fumble recovery for a touchdown in that game as well. And so he just went out. He had 2 sacks as well. Part of his 4 tackles for loss. Dude just went off.
And let this be a lesson, OTF fam. This is where it pays to be a football sicko. Because say, why would I watch the Military Bowl between East Carolina and Pitt? Well, the linchpin of Will Muschamp's defense was on the field in that game. So all of these bowl games, especially if guys don't opt out, next bowl season, mark them on your calendar because you'll want to watch something, because one of those defenses or offenses, there might be a really key portal piece that's on the field in an otherwise meaningless bowl game. Can
we also just say this? He played in that meaningless bowl game.
He did. He didn't opt out.
He got some dog in him now. Because think about it, these days, not like that, ain't supposed to play in a meaningless bowl game.
Right.
And now he played balled out in that meaningless bowl game. All right. Good stuff, Jeff. Thank you as always. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. He's the real MVP. Thank you to each and every one of you for watching and for listening. And thank you to Rasheem Biles for choosing Texas. For Jeff and for Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em home.